Restaurant Growth Wednesday webinar. Every Wednesday we get together and we talk about something that's going to help you move your brand forward, help you get the restaurant and life that you desire. Today, the topic is leadership and aprons, strategies for effective management. Actually, I'm going to say strategies for effective leadership. Hashtag write this down. You know the words. All business problems are, of course, people problems. The other side of that equation is that all people problems are communication problems. Make sure to stick around to the end of the webinar. I have a free gift for whoever sticks around to the very end. And that is always something fun, exciting. Luke never knows what I'm going to pull out, what kind of rabbit I'm going to pull out of my hat. But I always got something to show you, always something to give you guys for showing up. I'm really just happy that you're here. So let's jump into the rules, shall we? Rules. Number one, have some fun. Number two, take notes. Research has shown if you write stuff down in your own handwriting, you are 70% more likely to remember the information 30 days from now. And that is my goal. And number three, take action. You got to take action. You can get webinars all day long. We have a whole string of webinars in the members area that you can watch the replays for. Tons of gold nuggets in all those webinars. Here's the thing, though. If you do not apply what you learn, it's not really valuable. So take the tools, take the nuggets, take the gold value, take the stuff that you're going to learn here on these webinars and actually start applying them. Now, I'm not saying apply everything. Take one or two things and start applying it. Remember, knowledge is not power. Application of the knowledge is power. And then every once in a while, if you've been on these webinars for a while, you know I'm going to say hashtag WTSD. What does hashtag WTSD mean? It means this. Write this shit down. These are the gold nuggets. These are the things I want to remind you of. Now, if this is your first time on our Wednesday webinar, I am Donald Burns. I am the restaurant coach. I'm a recovering restaurant owner. I'm also been a consultant for multiple billion-dollar brands, Cisco Foods, US Foods, Shamrock Foods. I'm also a chef. I was a chef with Wolfgang Puck after I sold my own restaurants. I'm also an author. My probably best known for the Your Restaurant Sucks trilogy. My latest book in January was Savage Restaurant Success, and I have a new book coming out pretty soon. It's going to be called Ingredients. I'm also a restaurant investor, and I'm proud to say I'm a former member of the U.S. Air Force pararescue teams. That being said, like a lot of you, I opened my first restaurant in 1995. I thought just because I had experience in the restaurant business that was the only thing I needed to open a restaurant. I was so naive. I did not understand this. I did not understand that not having systems in place, not doing this little bitty things was really, really killing me. I knew how to run a restaurant. I did not know how to build a brand. And I was very, very fortunate that someone took me under their wings, a business mentor, one of my regulars at my restaurant. And he taught me this system called the 3P framework. And this 3P framework, I have expanded over the last 14 years into a replicatable process map that can actually really help you and your restaurant. So if you're an independent restaurant owner who feels like your team is out of control, pay attention to this thing. This TRC framework, this TRC method that I talk about a lot of times, it's like a combination lock. If I gave you a combination lock and said, open a lock, it would be very, very hard to open a lock without the combination. In fact, there's 1,000 different variables in a 3-digit lock. But if I told you the combination and I told you the order they go in, you can open the lock whenever you want. This is what the 3P framework is. It is the roadmap and the process map to getting the restaurant life you want. It is always people, product, process. And just like a combination lock, that is the order it has to be in. It has to be people, then product, and then process. This is where everyone goes sideways, is that they have the combination wrong. A lot of people start off with menu because every restaurant has a menu. And then they realize, oh, I probably need some systems in place. I probably need some checklist. I probably need a P&L. I need a little bit of process stuff. And then they finally realize, oh, I probably need to hire some better people. Remember, people feeds process, process feeds people. What does that mean? Every month, someone will call me and say, I'm frustrated. I'll say, why are you frustrated? I'm going to say, well, my team's not following the checklist. I'll say, what's wrong with the checklist? And they'll say, nothing. You gave me the checklist. I'll say, all right, If the process part is right, look at this 3P framework. It's the people part. You didn't inundate them with the culture. They don't know why the checklist is important. They don't know what the core values are. You don't maybe not have the right people in the team, or you might have the right people in the team in the wrong spot in the team. People feeds process. And on the other hand, process feeds people. I'll have someone call me every other month. I'm frustrated. Why are you frustrated? I went home this afternoon to walk the dogs. I come back. Everyone's just staying around. They're on their phones. They're on TikTok. They're chatting with their buddies. They're not doing any deep cleaning, any side work. And I'll say, do they have processes in place? Do they have time process in place? Detailed checklist, time checklist, 11 o'clock to this, 12 o'clock to this, 1 o'clock to this. No. But they should know what to do because it's common sense. Hashtag write this shit down. Common sense is not common in the restaurant industry. You have to tell them. Remember, all business problems are people problems. Those people problems are communication problems. You must communicate exactly what are your expectations. So the Restaurant Accelerator is the program that we teach, that we coach with. And again, it's people, product, process. Inside each of those combinations, there's a series of workshops. Team 1 is all about strengths. Make sure I got the right people in the team and the right spot in the team. Know Why workshops all about culture, extracting out that core value mission card. Talent attraction methods all about getting the right people on the team in the right spot in the team, interviewing better, onboarding better, training better. Then the product part, we go into food cost. Make sure we understand that gap between theoretical and actual food cost. We get into extreme menu makeover because you can't have a profitable menu if you don't know your cost. And then we start opening up that marketing machine, start winning that organic game. This is a big mistake most restaurants make. They jump in on marketing and they haven't costed out their menu. Why make busy busier if you're not profitable? This is why food cost comes before menu. You have to understand your food costing before you can even design a profitable menu. And then once you have that profitable menu, now you want to open up the floodgates to marketing. Now, how do we protect it? Processes protect our profits. That's where I got to have accountability systems in place. I got to have some strategic plans, some strat maps, and I also have to have a way to increase my profitability. That's why we have Profit Clinic. So every map you see here, every module is a series of workshops inside of it. Now, today, we're going to kind of go a little bit down the rabbit hole of the know why, a little bit in the culture thing. So let's start off with a quote, one of my favorite quotes from Peter Drucker. Management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right things. Such a game changer. And if you want to make more money, who here would like to make more money? Type in the chat, would you like to make more money? Type yes. I would love to make more money. Type yes in the chat. Who wants to make money? Me. There we go. Yes. Who would like to make more money? If you want to make more money, here's the thing you have to understand. If you want to make more money, you got to become a better leader. So today we're going to talk about some strategies for effective management. Let's kind of face it. Running a restaurant, for a lot of restaurants out there, it's kind of like amateur hour. And here's the thing, you just can't put on an apron and call yourself a chef. You just can't put on a suit and tie and call yourself the leader. Your team's not going to follow you if you don't act like the leader. Leadership requires strategy. It requires purpose and a hell of a lot more than just barking orders. So we're going to break down some key strategies going to turn you from a mediocre manager into a legendary leader. Leadership in the restaurant industry, I will tell you from working with thousands of restaurants. I mean, I've worked with probably 2,900 restaurants now over the last 14 years. And I can tell you this with 100% honesty. Leadership in the restaurant industry is not for the faint-hearted. It's more than just managing schedules. It's more than just making sure the kitchen runs smoothly. It's about inspiring people, setting a vision, creating a culture of excellence where everyone wants to be better. Now, here's the thing. You might feel overwhelmed, frustrated, and on the brink of burnout, but I will tell you, with the right strategies, you can turn chaos into order, and you can also make mediocrity become greatness. The restaurant industry is a high-stakes game. Margins are thin. The average restaurant only makes 4% profit nowadays. It used to be 6%. It's dropped over the last year to down to 4%. Competition is brutal. Guest expectations are sky high. If you're not leading with clarity and purpose, you are setting yourself up for failure. It's not about just surviving. This is about thriving and transforming your restaurant into a powerhouse. So the first thing we got to do is this. Hashtag write this down. Stop winging it. The days of winging it are way over. If you want to not demand, but command, if you want to command respect and drive performance, you need to be intentional. You need to be strategic. You need to be relentless in your pursuit of excellence. Leadership requires a comprehensive approach that goes just beyond to like, I'm putting on a chef coat or I'm putting on a sports coat and walking the room. It's about embodying the principles of effective leadership and being a driving force that propels your restaurant to new heights. So today, we're going to break down the essential strategies that you need, that you must have to reclaim control, how to inspire your team, and how to lead your restaurant to real unparalleled success. These aren't just tips. These are battle-tested tactics that I have used from my 45 years experience in the restaurant industry. So get ready to transform your leadership and also your restaurant, because I'm telling you, we got to step up our game. It's time that we really step into the role of being a leader. We're going to start off with a really great hashtag. Everyone write this down. Hashtag be the leader. Not a leader, be the leader. Be the leader that your team wants. Be the leader that your team needs. Be the leader that your restaurant desires. So many times we sit on the back and we just kind of look at leading as just something very, very simple, that it's something that someone else will take care of. Being a leader means stepping forward. That's basically what leadership is. Leadership is about stepping forward, being the example. And today I'm going to take you through a list of, I call them commandments. Remember how like Moses brought down the tablets from the mountain? Well, today you're going to get your own list of leadership commandments. Hashtag write these down. These are a game changer when you take these commandments to heart, but you also put them into action. I said this from the very beginning when we talked about the rules. Take notes, but don't just take notes, take action on those notes. Take these rules, take these commandments we're going to talk about today, and I want you to kind of embed them into your leadership style. Now, again, don't do them all. Don't take them all into account at once. Take a few each week and just kind of get them going. But you're going to have 10 different commandments. Number one is you got to own your vision. You got to own your vision. You have to, the first thing you got to do is you got to get your head out of the clouds. You got to define what your vision is. The best way to do this is really sit down and do what we call a core value workshop is. I mean, what the hell do you stand for? What's the end game? You want to build this thing up to like 10 million and sell it? You want to do 10 locations, 50 locations? You want to have a chain of these things across the country? You want to just have 2 and be happy? What is your end game? What is your goal? What is your strategy? Here's the thing. If you can't articulate your vision clearly and passionately, how the hell do you expect your team to get on board? Everybody knows what X is. It used to be called Twitter. Twitter and X is a great exercise. I love telling people this. Describe your restaurant's vision to me in a tweet. If you can't convey your message to me in a tweet, you don't know your message that well. You should be able to be very, very clear, concise, and articulate about exactly who you are, what you do, and why you do it. Right? Your vision. Your vision is your North Star. It is the compass. It drives everything. You have to know, where are we going and why are we doing this? It guides every decision, every action, every policy in your restaurant. Here's the thing about vision. You need to make it clear. You need to make it bold. It has to be unforgettable. The most powerful tool we use in the Accelerator program is the Know Why Workshop. We create a core value mission card. These are a couple of examples of core value mission cards. One is mine for my Warrior restaurants. The other one is one of my clients. A core value mission card has exactly that. It has your core values and your mission on there. Has your core value, and it has the definition of what your core value is. Because, if I put up the word respect and ask everyone in here, hey, what's respect? I'm going to get there's 34 people on the call. I'm going to get 34 different answers. But the only definition that matters in your restaurant is your definition of what that means. What does responsibility mean? What does respect, communication, accountability, hospitality, integrity? This is a core value card that you use every day to get your team in alignment with the mission, core values, and vision. It is, and I can tell you from working with, again, thousands of restaurants, it is the most powerful tool we have in our arsenal. My job as your coach is to give you more tools, because the problem is you only have a few tools right now in your toolbox, and you're trying to solve the problems with the same tools you've had for years. If the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail, and you tend to just beat the crap out of it with a hammer. But if I gave you more tools means more options. More options mean more solutions. More solutions means better results. My job as a coach is to give you a lot more tools to add to your toolkit. Now, if you find a tool you like, pick that tool up and use it. Now, if there's a tool you don't like, you don't think it applies to you, then don't worry about it, because it's not going to be of any value if you're not going to use it. Anybody ever buy any kind of fancy gadget or fancy thing and it just sits on a shelf in your house? You never really used it. It looked really cool. You bought into it. You bought this really cool, fun thing, but you never picked it up and never actually used it. Yeah. So many people do that all the time. My job as your coach is to make sure you have some accountability for the tools that you decide that you want. Okay. How long, right? How do you use the tools? So commandment number 2, lead by example. Here's the thing. You can't expect your team to give a damn. You cannot expect them to give a damn if you don't. This is where you have to be the leader. This is where you lead by example. You have to step up and be a leader. Leadership in Aprons means that you're in the trenches with your team. You're showing them how it's done. Hashtag, write this down. Management is push. Leadership is pull. Management is, I'm going to stay behind Luke and I'm saying, hey, Luke, go do this. That's push. Leadership is, hey, Luke, let me show you how this is done. That's leadership. You want your team to deliver an exceptional service experience, exceptional guest experience. You damn well better be the epitome of what exceptional service looks like. You want your team to show up on time, then you need to show up on time. Right? You need to be able to show them by example that you are willing to be the example of what leadership is, what a great team player is. Never ask your team to do something that you wouldn't do. So let me give you some practical tips and tools for this. Number 1, daily routines. Stick and develop a daily routine. That means spending some time on the floor interacting with the team. You have to interact with the team. Right? You have to interact with the team. To be a true leader, you have to immerse yourself in the day-to-day operations of the restaurant. It doesn't mean hiding in the back office. You got to be active. You got to be present. I'm always shocked, and I can always tell by what kind of culture it is. And there's 4 different levels of culture. There's toxic, there's training, there's learning, and there's leadership. I can always tell a toxic restaurant culture because during like lunch rush or dinner rush, where's the manager? They're in the office hiding. Okay, that's not leadership. That's management. Develop a daily plan. It means spending a little time with my team during peak hours, just kind of coaching, guiding them, correcting course a little bit. Show them you're committed to the success of the restaurant. Now, I love to have like a morning kickoff with my team. I like to have something that sets a tone, gets the energy up, outlines maybe some goals. We talk about maybe a KPI like guest check average, and I address immediate concerns. I always want to set a positive, proactive atmosphere. Don't be the gloom and gloom guy, right? Well, hey, Luke. Well, I hope it's busier than yesterday. Okay. Yeah, just, do whatever you can. Hey man, yeah, I get it. No, if it's slow, yeah, man, I totally get it. You can cut out, man. It's totally cool. No, hey man, it's gonna be busy, man. We're gonna be fired up. Let's be on top of our tables. Let's make sure we're doing our greetings. Make sure we're using the rule of 2. Make sure we're using our neuroselling stuff. You want to make sure you're doing that stuff. And then peak hours, be on the floor during peak business times. Leadership is impactful when it's visible. Your team needs to see you in action. They need to see you handling the rush with confidence and grace. And then I always like to do an end of the shift review. A lot of restaurants do pre-shifts. How many people do pre-shift? Type in the chat, me, if you do pre-shift. Type in the chat, me, if you do a pre-shift. Type in the chat if you do pre-shift. Me. How many people do a post-shift? Type in the chat if you do a post-shift. This is one of the things I learned in the military and special operations. Every time we did a mission Every time we had an exercise, we had a briefing before, which is like pre-shift. And then we had what they call a post-mortem, which is an after mission report. You should always have before and after. And please don't only do it when you have bad shifts, because then the team knows, like, hey guys, let's get together and have a talk. They automatically know they're getting called to the principal's office. Oh shit, we must have fucked up, because now they're calling me out. Now we have to have a meeting about the meeting because we had a bad shift. Get in the habit of having good meetings before and also meetings after. You should always talk about what happened. And there's 3 key questions we always ask ourselves. Everybody know what the 3-question framework is I teach? There's 3 key questions that you should ask yourself every single day. Hashtag write these down. It's not in the slides. Number 1, what's working? Number 2, what's not working? Question number 3, how can we make it better? That is how you do a pre-shift and a post-shift. Hey, what's working? And especially for a post-shift. Hey, what's working today? What didn't work? All right, how can we make it better? That's all you got to do. Simple. 3-question framework will change your life, change your restaurant, if you just use it all the time. Service standards. You have to demonstrate the service standards through your actions. We talk a lot about service. The biggest thing you have to understand is words are great, and they might be able to understand them, grasp them, but people learn in different kind of modalities. You have to be able to show them. Words mean nothing without action behind them. One of the things I used to do when I had my restaurants were in Michigan. During Christmas time, we would shut down for a couple of days before Christmas. I would take my entire team to a restaurant in Detroit that I felt was like 1 or 2 levels above what we were, because I wanted them to experience service and food at a little bit higher level so they knew what we were aiming for. It's kind of like driving a sports car. If you've never driven an Aston Martin before, to you, it just looks like a real expensive, fancy car. But when you drive a really, really nice, expensive, high performance car like that, you realize it's really, really different than driving a regular car. Totally different than driving a Prius. The wheel is just so sensitive. You don't need to really grip the wheel with a tight grip. You just like finger control it. It's super, super attentive. It responds quickly. But the thing is, if you've never driven that kind of thing, you don't know what I'm talking about. You just think, oh, it's just a real expensive car. It's not. It's a performance machine. Same thing. If you want your team to raise their performance level, you have to demonstrate what high performance looks like. Okay. First impression is always a big thing. Make it a habit to be at the door. Make sure your team is opening the door for guests. Right? You got to set the standard for service. Also, you want to create that welcoming atmosphere. Please do not greet people by number. I hate that. When I go to a restaurant and they look at me and they go, just one? Yes, I'm a loser. I'm by myself. I don't have anybody. All right. Complaint resolution. You got to make sure you have a plan to deal with complaints. You will get complaints. If you're a restaurant, you'll get complaints. How your team shows up, how they practice dealing with these things is going to make a huge difference. They need to be calm. They need to be decisive. They have to see you as the role model on how to handle complaints properly, not losing your shit and yelling and screaming at people. That's not a good leadership role. Right. And then that attention to detail. There's that old sayings like, don't sweat the small stuff. If you want to be a restaurant owner and make a lot of money, sweat the small stuff. Attention to detail is what separates the good from the great from the outstanding. Pay attention to the little things. It's, cleanliness, the presentation, the consistency. Does everything look the same? Are the tables nice and neat and aligned? Is all the silverware nice and neat? Is it clean? Is it spot free? These little things say so much about how much you care about your restaurant. Right? Show the team how diligent you are. When I had my second restaurant, I was meticulous about the table setups. I got them little bitty rulers. Like the charger plate had to be so many inches from the edge of the table. The silverware had to be so many inches from the charger plate. The water glass had to be so many inches from the knife. I was meticulous about this, but it paid off. Within a year, we got a 4-diamond award from Mobile, which is unheard of within a year of opening a new restaurant. It was crazy. It is crazy, but it works when you have that attention to detail. And of course, work ethic. You have to be the model of a strong work ethic. If you expect your team to work hard, they got to see you kind of working a little bit too. Right? Your team watches everything you do. I mean, everything. In fact, they pay more attention to what you do than what you say. They need to see you putting in energy and effort. Remember, arriving early. That means sometimes like buckling down, staying a little bit later, helping out when I need to, not doing their work for them, but helping out, giving a hand when I need to. Punctuality is huge. Most leaders suck at this. They preach being on time to their team, but they show up when they want to. That's horrible. Hands-on involvement. Nothing worse than your team's going down in flames and you just watch them go down in flames. Sometimes it means jumping up. It means sometimes washing some dishes. Sometimes it means sweeping the floor. My team used to, like a lot of times the service team, especially like the dishwasher, and I never called him a dishwasher. I usually call him a ceramic aquatic technician. It'd be the end of the night. I had some late night stuff to do in the office, and I would just go to them and say, "Hey, go ahead and finish up." And I'll go ahead and take off. I'll finish up. They said, "Well, I still have to mop the floor in the kitchen." I said, "I can do it." What? Really? Yeah. I've mopped floors before. No big deal. Sometimes just stepping up and showing them that you can take care of some stuff and that you're committed to helping them out goes a long, long way. And then continuous improvement. You want to adopt this 1% mindset. You want to be 1% better today than you were yesterday. That is huge. That is a game changer. Right? Commandment number 3. Sorry, I put a commandment on there. Communicate like a boss. Okay? Communicate like your business depends on it, because it does. Effective communication isn't just important. It is the lifeblood of your restaurant. Clear, concise, direct communication. Hashtag write those down. Clear, concise, direct communication. Right? Remember, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Use them in that proportion. Pre-shift meetings, feedback loops, active listening. One of the best ways to active listen is have a notebook. When people are talking, you're taking notes. When you're talking, they should be taking notes. It's the most powerful thing you can do. Okay? Most powerful thing you can do. Commandment number 4, empower your team. Hashtag write this down. Stop micromanaging. Nothing kills morale faster than a leader who breathes down everyone's neck. You got to trust your team. Now, if you give me the excuses, I don't trust my team, here's what I will tell you. Train the trust. Right? That's why you got to have a comprehensive training program. If you do not trust your team, you need to train them until you trust them. One of the rules we talk about is that we do this. We do not train them until they get it right. We train them until they can't get it wrong. Right? We train them until they can't get it wrong. Right? Training program, delegate responsibilities, recognition programs. Commandment 5, set clear expectations and hold people accountable. You have to hold the team accountable. People can't read your mind. I know a lot of times we think that, the team can read exactly what we're thinking about, what we're doing, what's going on in our heads, but they can't. They have to be able to hear it, see it, to understand it. So if you're not being clear and concise with your team, setting clear expectations and holding them accountable, they are not going to do what you want them to do. Right? That also means you got to hold people accountable. And holding people accountable means what? You got to hold them accountable. I mean, sometimes I got to write people up. When was the last time you wrote up somebody on your team? Type in the chat. When was the last time you wrote somebody up on your team? I'm always shocked when I ask restaurant owners this question. When's the last time you had to write somebody up? And they say something like, I've never written anybody up, months ago, a year ago. I never have to write anybody up. Right? See? Yeah, a few months ago. Yeah, a few days ago. Perfect. You have to hold the team accountable. Here's the biggest thing I'll ask you right now. And be honest. All right? Have you ever written yourself up? As an owner, have you ever written yourself up for not holding up to your own standards? If you're honest, you're going to say, no, I've never written myself up. Why not? If you want to be the leader, you should write yourself up. You should hold yourself accountable. Right? You have to do that. You have to do that. You have to hold the team accountable. You have to hold yourself accountable. Everything flows down from top to bottom. Culture flows down. It always does. Job descriptions are the most powerful thing. Get your job descriptions. Take those generic job descriptions you downloaded from restaurantowner.com and then rewrite them. And rewrite them in the first person. I will, I must. and then put everything on there that you want them to do. You have to have a crystal clear job description and performance expectations for every single role in your restaurant. That's where it starts. Number two, you got to have performance reviews. Every quarter, you should be doing performance reviews, telling the team where they are, how they can improve, what they need to do to get a merit increase, get a raise. And then you got to have those one-on-ones. I love having one-on-ones with my team all the time. Okay. You have to have these hard talks with people. Commandment number 6, invest in continuous training. That's why you guys are on this webinar stuff. You have to understand learning never stops. School is never out for the professional. Invest in continuous training for your team as well. This could be like getting stuff from the restaurant coach, like the accelerator stuff, getting training modules for your team, getting stuff like that. You need to get in there and you got to train them. There's some great free resources out there. YouTube is probably the most powerful thing you can do. There's tons of training for restaurants on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. I have tons of content on YouTube. LinkedIn Learning is a huge place to go and get learning for your team, especially on soft skills, communication, time management, body language, conflict management. This is great stuff. And when you do this stuff, you want to have a training calendar. 2 things you should always have. Well, actually a few things. If I had to write down the critical things all restaurants should have that they don't have. Number 1, if I had to make a list of all the things that you should have that you don't have, you should know your theoretical food cost, theoretical and actual gap, theoretical, actual variance, actual food cost variance gap. Number 2, you should have a marketing calendar, a very comprehensive, thorough marketing calendar. Number 3, you should have a training calendar. Number 4, you should have a budget. And number 5, you should have a P&L, a really good P&L, and you should get a P&L on a weekly basis, especially if you're bleeding out money. So if you're bleeding out money right now, I'll tell you right now, there's 3 things you got to focus on: cash flow, budget and P&L, and marketing. We call this the restaurant triage. All right. Okay. But invest in continuous training. A lot of times you guys are trying to solve the problem with the same tool you have. And again, that's working more. Let's get you some different tools. Cross training is another huge thing that's going to help you out. Also, mentorship programs. I like to pair up experienced people on my team with inexperienced people on my team. It's a game changer. Okay, it is a game changer, but you must have this mindset of what we call 1%. You want to invest in you want to be 1% better today than you were yesterday. If you can just commit to 1% improvement every single day, just think about this. You're going to have a radically different restaurant in a year from now. And it all starts with just fundamentals: people, product, process. And if you're not making money, I will tell you why. It's not the product part. If you got sales, it's not your product part. All right. And a lot of times it's your people. You got the wrong people on your team. Okay. And this goes back to continuously investing in yourself and in your team, showing up on these webinars, but not just showing up in a webinar, taking the tools from these webinars and actually applying them. Getting a coach is probably the most powerful thing you can do. If your restaurant is really struggling, you need a coach, because a coach will help you get it together really quick. Commandment number 7, you got to cultivate that positive culture. Culture flows one direction, down, not up. A positive culture, it improves teamwork, it reduces turnover, it reduces waste, it increase sales, increase profits. Culture is the driver. And the downside about this is that you usually can't see an immediate ROI on culture. It's hard for me to tell people about culture. It's hard for me to sell you on a culture thing, because you don't see it like you see it as, I have a marketing problem, I have a sales problem, I have a cash flow problem. Yes, you have those problems, but a lot of those problems are because of your culture. If you were building a house, you don't start at the roof and then the walls and then pick it up and put the foundation down. You start at the bottom and work your way up. Foundation is culture. Then you put up the walls, which is a profitable menu and marketing. And then you finally insulate it with profits and protect it with system, strategy, and profitability. All right. Core values. You must define and communicate your restaurant's core values. You have to do team building exercises. You have to do training all the time, and you must positively reinforce. One of the two things you want to stay away from is called shame and blame. Do not play the shame and blame game. When you play the shame and blame game, you just go on this hamster wheel of toxicity. No one wants to work for a toxic restaurant culture for too long. Eventually, they'll just leave. If you have lots of turnover, you really want to understand why do you have toxic turnover. I was really, really negligent of this when I first became a chef. So in my early 20s, I'd been I trained with my father in high school, became a sous chef. When I got my first chef job, I was like 24 when I got my first chef job. My model of what a chef was my dad. My dad was very old school. My dad was like Gordon Ramsay. Yell, scream, embarrass people, break them down, build them up. Here's the thing I'll tell you. That didn't work. And I always had the excuses, well, they weren't just the right fit for my team. They don't want it bad enough. They weren't a good match for us. No, I was an asshole. I didn't want to admit it. But when my turnover became so high and it seemed like every week I was training someone new in the kitchen, I was like, man, I'm really getting tired of training people every single week. So then I decided that that model was broken. Here's the thing. If your business is broken, what do I mean by broken? If your business is not making 12% profit or higher, it's broken. Let me show you how to fix it. Right? Let me show you how to fix it. You just need a new business model. So when I realized that turnover was becoming crazy, it was my culture. I was creating a toxic culture. I had to change it. And so I looked back on my life, like who was some of my influences in my youth? And I had my martial arts instructor, Terry. And I was like, Terry was always a great leader. He was always a great role model. So I decided to start adopting this kind of instructor coach kind of mindset to my culinary side. And it changed the game. Within a few years, I became the go-to spot. People were asking, hey, you guys, spots in your kitchen. I heard you train a lot. You teach a lot. You coach a lot. You teach people a lot about how to become a chef. And I became the go-to place. But that started out of this looking at my culture and saying, I'm the problem. And I have to be the solution too. Commandment number 8, you got to stay adaptable. In this industry, adaptability is everything. It's totally unpredictable. The economy's changed, businesses go up and down. I mean, who saw COVID coming? Nobody. If you're not adaptable, you're dead. You got to be ready to shift. You got to be ready to change things a little bit. I tend to tell my restaurant clients this statement. There's the restaurant that you want. There's the restaurant that your guests want. Somewhere in the middle is the restaurant that you must become. We get so hooked up on our ego, pride, and denial about our business, and it has to be like this. If it's not working, you have to be open to changing stuff. You have to be adaptable. Okay? Keep your eye on industry trends. Look at stuff out there. Now, I'm not saying jump on every industry trend, but just be aware of what's going on. Flexible. Be willing to change schedules in the restaurant, change roles, change processes, and hell, get a process. I mean, most of you don't have a process map. Most of you don't have that 3P framework to look at and say, oh, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm stuck. This is how I get out of this mess. You need new tools. And you have to have innovative meetings with your team. You got to sit down and talk about brainstorming. How can we make this better? Again, 3Q, we call it the 3Q framework. 3-question framework. What's working? What's not working? How can we make it better? Commandment number 9. This is an important one for all you restaurant owners that love to work yourselves to death. You got to take care of yourself. Here's the thing. You can't lead if you're empty. If your tank is empty, you can't lead effectively. And if you are, then what happens? Like, let's say if I went to Luke and said, Luke, tonight, when you go home tonight, you cannot recharge your phone. And I want you to show up tomorrow at work with your phone, whatever power percentage is left. Luke shows up, he's at 25%. How long do you think Luke's phone would last before it totally died? Hour, 2 hours, maybe at the max, right? Well, this is what you're doing. You're going home, not charging yourself up, not eating properly, not getting any exercise, not sleeping properly, not getting the right nutrients, not staying hydrated. And then you come to work not fully charged up. and then you run all day, and then around 7, 8 o'clock, you start running out of gas. Now, when Luke's phone dies, it just turns off. When your battery dies, you get cranky, you get snippy, you make comments, you get frustrated easily, you get agitated, you get stressed, you show anxiety. All the things that leaders don't want to do. Take care of yourself. Develop a self-care routine. It doesn't have to be complex. I'm not saying you got to go become a gym rat for 2 hours, but get out and get a little walk every once in a while. Get a good night's sleep, eating healthy. A little meditation doesn't hurt at all. I'm a big, huge believer in meditation. All my clients tend to learn how to meditate because I practice it and I preach it so much. Make sure you get a family or a support network. Restaurant owners tend to think we're in a silo and we have to do this all by ourselves. The beautiful thing about being like in the webinar group is that you're allowed, it's a community. The restaurant growth community online is a great way to ask questions and get answers. I have all my TRC stuff, all my TRC method. We have an online community. It's called the Vault, where we go in and we can ask questions, get answers. You can ask me questions. I'm on both. I'm on the TRC stuff, my stuff, and I'm also on the circle with the restaurant growth. Ask questions. You don't have to feel like you go this alone. And of course, mindfulness practices is the best way to reduce stress. Be a little, and I'm not saying you got to become a yogi and meditate for 20 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour straight every day. Sometimes you just got to pause and process and take 3 deep breaths. That's all you got to do. And then finally, please, commandment number 10, you got to build strong relationships. The restaurant industry is the people business. We are all about hospitality. If you look at the Latin word hospitality, it comes from the word hospice. Hospice means to be a host. So when you're acting in the essence of true hospitality, you are being the ultimate host. Build strong relations. This actually, and I'm going to tell you this, strong relationships starts with the relationship with yourself. We talk about that 3P framework. In the 3P framework, the people part, the very first module that you probably didn't look at because you're looking at all the other shiny objects like marketing and profitability and menu. The first part of the 3P framework is mindset, your mindset. You will be shocked that 80% of your problems are in the people part. In the people part, 80% of those problems are in your mindset. This starts with you building a relationship with you, having that confidence, having that certainty, having that centeredness, just being able to handle the stuff that comes up, because the restaurant industry is freaking brutal. It will throw you so many curveballs. It will beat you to your knees and keep you down if you let it. If you let it, right? Now with your team, you want to understand their strengths, their weaknesses, what motivates them, what aspirations they have. These are the kind of things that help you lead a team more effectively and actually help you create a cohesive and a motivated team, right? One-on-one meetings, schedule one-on-one meetings with each team member. Use this time to check in, having team events, going out. I have quite a few clients that do bowling night. They had a kickball tournament. They have dart leagues. They do out and go have picnics. They go river rafting. There's all kinds of fun things you can do. And they have that open door policy. Allow people to come and talk to you about anything, right? You got to have this culture of transparency and trust. There's a misconception restaurants have about teamwork, and especially young teams. A lot of people think a team has to like each other. Hashtag write this down. Teamwork has nothing to do with likability. It's all about trust and respect. I have to trust you and I have to respect you. That's the only 2 things you really need to have a really high performance team. I learned this from my days in pararescue. There's guys in my pararescue team I did not like. I thought total assholes. I did not like them. I would not hang out with them after we got done with stuff. I would not hang out with them after, when our day was done. I would not, could not, Sam, I am. Right. But here's the thing. I trusted every one of them. I trusted every one of them with my life because I knew they were trained to do the job they were supposed to do. Trust and respect is what you need to build a strong team. Final thoughts, wrapping it up here. Leadership in the restaurant industry is not a walk in the park. It is a relentless pursuit. It requires, right, demands vision. It demands dedication and a whole lot of grit. If you're an independent restaurant and you're feeling overwhelmed, if you feel like you're a little out of control, here's the thing, you're not alone. And more importantly, know that you do have the power to turn it around. If you've got sales coming in the door, your restaurant is savable. If you have no sales, like it is ghost town, you've been open for 6 months and not one person has been into the restaurant to buy one thing, then yes, you should probably close your restaurant. But if you have sales, you have a pulse. If you have a pulse, we can help you turn this thing around. Again, you're just trying to solve the same puzzle and the same problem with the same tool. You got that hammer and you're just beating the crap out of it. All right, let's get you some new tools. The strategies we talked about today, they're not just theoretical. I mean, they are practical. These are the things I've used for 45 years. These are the things I've taught to over 2,900 restaurants over the last 14 years as the restaurant coach. They can help transform your leadership, and actually it will transform your restaurant and transform your profitability. Right? You got to own the vision. You got to build strong relationships. You got to have a strategy where you understand how can I create a thriving high performance team. Leadership always starts with you. So for showing up today, here's your free gift. I got a little PDF download for you. It's why teamwork doesn't work. It's a really fun one. It's a free gift for showing up today. I'll give it to Luke, and Luke will be able to hand it out to people. It is a great little easy read. Why teamwork doesn't work. It's a fun little read. It's a fun one. It'll be in the portal. Yep. Now, before you leave, let me ask you a question. This is for a lot of those people who had questions in the chat. A lot of people were talking about profitability. Let me show you exactly how to get out of this hole that you've made for yourself. If I dropped you off out in the middle of the woods with nothing but a water bottle in the middle of the night, you would have a very hard time navigating back. But here's the thing. If I dropped you off in the woods and I gave you a map and compass and I showed you how to use the map and compass, you can navigate every single time. For the last 14 years, my coaching programs have helped almost 2,900. It's way over 2,800 now. 2,900 independent restaurants just like yours. Coaching gives you two things that you must need. You need accountability. You need new tools. Without accountability and new tools, you're going to be stuck on the hamster wheel you're on right now, doing the same thing you've done over and over, expecting different results. Why don't we do this a smart way? The Accelerator program is my #1 training program to get you from where you are now to where you want to be. The program has tons and tons of content. So in the Accelerator program, you not just get all the modules in the Accelerator program, you get some other, I would call them like bonus programs to help you deal with any kind of problem you're at. And here's the thing, when you sign up for a call with me, if you sign up for the coaching program, you're gonna have a one-on-one call with me. I'm gonna customize a roadmap for you based on what your needs are. Like if you're bleeding out money, I got a special framework. I'm gonna teach you how to get that money back really fast. If you're having culture problems, hiring problems, I got a framework for you. You got menu problems, I got a framework. Any kind of problem you've got, trust me, I have a solution for it. Right? Menu makeover, marketing, or how to win an organic game. Every download I've collected over the years, 380 downloads. Strat map, strategic planning, whatever your problem is, I have a formula and a framework to teach you the tools, to give you the accountability, and to give you the resources. And plus, you're getting a one-on-one call with one of my certified restaurant coaches. It's over 200 hours of training, 380 downloads. And here's the thing, if you're bleeding out money, I'm going to throw in a bonus. If you sign up today, I'm going to give you this bonus. It's the 5-day profit challenge. It is the fastest way to get yourself out of bleeding, to stop the bleeding. This 5-day profit challenge is 10 hours of training plus downloads. It will stop the bleeding if you follow the directions. It is the fastest way to stop the bleeding. And you get it today as a bonus if you decide that you want to take it, you want to roll the dice, you want to jump into a coaching program and start getting some real results. Right? Not sitting on guidelines anymore on the fence and just saying, oh, things are okay. No, just admitting that, hey, things are horrible and I need to fix this right now. Fastest way to fix it is get a coach. All you got to do is just speak to your restaurant growth team and ask them about the restaurant accelerator program. Any questions we got? I saw a hand up in the thing. Anybody got any questions for me? Anything in the Q&A? I don't see anything in the Q&A. Got any questions? Light them up in the chat. I know earlier I saw someone chatting about money, profit, like just bleeding out money. In that restaurant, that 5-day restaurant growth challenge, I show you a framework I teach called the restaurant triage. The restaurant triage is the fastest way to get out of bleeding. Anybody who has money problems, I put you on the triage program. And the triage program is down and dirty, no fluff. We're not going to talk about, all the crazy. We're not going to talk about Jedi menu mind tricks. We're not going to talk about your accountability, your checklist. I'm not even going to talk about your culture right away. I'm going to help you stop the bleeding first. Once I get you stable, then I'll go back and we'll talk about other parts in the 3P framework. So that's one of the beautiful things. Like when you sign up with the accelerator program, you're going to get a one-on-one call with me. I'm going to do an onboarding call with you, and I'm going to go over your restaurant, what exactly your problems are. And here's the thing. You don't need to impress me. You just got to be honest with me. Wherever you are is where you are. I can help you if you're honest with me. It's like, don't tell me like, I'm about this, about this point, that point, money problems. I'll tell you right now, money problems are just a simple framework. It's cash flow, it's budgets and P&L, and it's marketing. If you have a money problem, that's the 3 things. Yeah, Get Filet is a great tool for food costing. Get Me's is another great one. There's tons of one. Here's the thing. It's like the old joke. How many diets does it take to lose weight? 1. The one you stick with. How many food costing programs do you need to get your food costs under control? 1. The one you stick with. Get Filet is a great one. A lot of my members in like Europe and South America, a lot of people over in like Japan, a lot of people in Australia use Get Filet. There's tons of them out there, right? In the UK, Get Filet is awesome. I love Get Filet. Yeah, Get Filet is great. But again, just like anything else, you got to use the tool. Inside our accelerator program, we have a workshop called the Food Cost Bootcamp. The Food Cost Bootcamp would be the fastest way to get you to use Get Filet accurately. Right? That Food Cost Bootcamp is 8 hours. 8 hours down and dirty. We're going to get you down. We're going to get down to what understand what that theoretical food cost, that actual food cost is, what that variance is. And here's a scary thing. Most restaurants, when they understand what their theoretical and actual food cost gap is, it's usually anywhere from 8 to 10%. The average restaurant is 9%. Just by doing the Food Cost Bootcamp, you can put 5% back to your bottom line right away. So when someone says, I have money problems, the first thing I'll ask is, have you costed out your menu? Down to the penny. Right? If you've not costed out your menu down to the penny, you are going to bleed out money all day long. Money problems are math problems. Hashtag write that down. I say all business problems are people problems. Well, all money problems are math problems. You just got to know the right formula to solve the math problem. Luckily, I've seen thousands of restaurants P&Ls. I've seen thousands of restaurants bleed out money. I've had people that were hemorrhaging money so fast. I have someone right now, they're losing $25,000 a week. So whatever you think you're losing money on, I got someone who's worse. Okay, we got people that are like really bleeding out money. $25,000 a week bleeding out. So what's the first thing we do? We get you on a triage plan to stop the bleeding. So as I stop the bleeding, I take off some of the stress. As soon as I take off some of the stress, now you're open to be focused on some of the other stuff in the coaching program. But my first immediate thing is going to stop the bleeding. Okay. Minimum wage up. Should we raise the hourly paid up? Should we raise the hourly paid up? If minimum wage is up, you want to be a little bit ahead of the curve of what your market is. You always want to be the employer of choice. Now, here's a good question I'll ask you. And I ask restaurant owners this all the time. What's the most you'd pay for an hourly employee? Type in the chat. What's the most you would pay for an hourly employee? Type in the chat. What's the most you would pay? $12, $14, $15 an hour? What's the most you would pay? $17 an hour. All right, cool. Now, here's a question I would ask you. Would you pay $25 an hour? So whoever said $17, would you pay $25 an hour? Most of the time when I ask a restaurant owner, they go, no way, no way. $25 an hour, you're crazy. I'll pay 17, that's it. I won't pay more. Write this down. C players cost you twice as much as an A player. So every time a restaurant owner says, no, I would never pay $25 an hour, I say, well, right now, You're paying two people who are C players $17 an hour. So you're paying actually $34 an hour to get the same work that one A player at $25 an hour would make. So just think about that. At $34 an hour minus 25, I'm saving $9 an hour. This goes back to mindset. Sometimes how you look at the problem is the problem. That's why you want a coach. A coach will help you look at the problem differently. I've seen thousands of restaurant P&Ls. I have restaurants in 23 different countries around the world. The stuff I teach works in any economy, every country. Your currency might be different, but trust me, your math problems are all the same. If you got money problems, they're math problems. And the way to fix math problems is you need someone who understands restaurant math. Okay. If you're honest with me and show me the numbers and show me where you're at, I can figure it out how to fix it for you. I have a guy right now who's in my coaching program. He does $3 million. Well, when he started with me, he was doing $3 million in sales and doing just a couple percent profit. He's now up to 15% profit. Was it overnight? No. But it all just came from just understanding what the problem is and then looking at the solutions differently and giving him different tools. Right. Any other questions?
Got a question coming in here from Tanya. Tanya's asking, she said she's already in the coaching program, and she's asking, do we have the link to the 5-day profit challenge?
Tanya's she's already in the, Tanya, since you're here and you showed up and you're dedicated, yes, I will give you the profit challenge today. I will make sure you have it. Which one's your coach, Tanya? I think Tanya's with
Angela. A couple Tanyas in here. I think this is the Tanya from the Royal Hotel.
Oh, that's probably Angela. Angela's my numbers girl. She's a beast with the numbers. You want to talk about, putting the right tool, the right thing? Anybody who has problems with numbers, I usually put Angela on, because Angela, you think I'm tough? Angela's tougher than I am. That woman gets results. I'm telling you, that woman will dig into that P&L. She will find the gold nuggets. That woman is awesome. Yes, Tanya, I'll make sure you get, as soon as we get off this call today, I will give you immediate access to the profit challenge. Thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that. Any other questions? What else we got? Anything else?
I think we're solid to go. Donald, thank you so much for your
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Stuff today. This is valuable as always.
Cool. I love being here. I love helping you out. Please, you can always reach out to me in the circle chat we got going. You can always help. I'm here to help you. My job has always been, my mission, you want to talk about mission? My mission has always been to build your brand, strengthen your team, increase your profits. Never changed in 14 years. It's always been my goal. Help you build your brand, strengthen your team, get a team that actually replaces you so you're not stuck in your restaurant all the time. And then getting you to the point where I can help you make some money. Cool.
All right, Donald. Thanks so much for being here, guys. Thanks so much for joining the call today. See you next week, same day, same time.
Perfect. Everyone have a fantastic day.
All right, guys. Bye.